Thanks everyone so much for joining today. We're really lucky to have Jonas Hudson from Green Fence joining us. We've worked with Jonas and his team going on about 3 years now, and they've done some really fascinating work in the NFT space, specifically with retail and entertainment, some huge movie studios and huge brands. So he's fantastically equipped to give some proper industry perspective to what the heck's going on with NFTs, sort of what the evolution has been, and hopefully what's down the pike and what's going to come. So we have a really rough agenda today. I've sort of created Jonas's agenda for him. We're just talking about NFTs in general, from his perspective, from the industry perspective, talking about Green Fence and the evolution of the company, what's going on now, what went on in the past, what's down the pike, client stories, lessons learned, and then what's next for the industry and what's next for Green Fence. For me, if there's time, there probably will be, I'll take everyone through Kaleido and I'll show you all of the amazing work that we've done in the digital asset space, making it really easy to just build boilerplate ERC20 or ERC721 customizable token smart contracts. Bring your own code if you want to do something a bit more involved or a bit more bespoke. I'll show you how you can use our APIs, how you can very easily send posts and gets and add new minters, add new custodians, use our fantastic dashboards to see all the transfers and see all the existing tokens. And then if we have time at the end, we'll look into atomic swaps, which fits really nicely kind of in the NFT space, exchanging fiat or exchanging something fungible in return for an NFT, and all of the protections that need to occur in that. What we don't want is we don't want to have a third party. We don't really want to have a middleman that we have to pay some sort of fee to. So with Ethereum and with hash time locked smart contracts, we can actually use a programmatic escrow, and we can have all of those built-in protections and guarantee that none of these parties can do a double spend, where they can attain both assets. So that's the rough agenda. We really would like people to be interactive and use the chat or use the Q&A or raise your hand. We're again really lucky to have Jonas here, so perfect time to ask him a question and sort of hear from someone that really has their feet on the ground and is close to this space. Few final pieces of admin before I turn it over or ask Jonas an intro question. We record all of these Tech Tuesdays. We've been doing them for well over a year now, all through the pandemic. So if you just go to YouTube and Google or search Kaleido Blockchain, you'll find a curated list of all the assets. And I think that's all I wanted to touch on. When it's my turn, I'll bring it back sort of into the Kaleido landscape. So Jonas, do you want to just start with maybe an introduction about yourself and about Green Fence, and then we'll meander into specifically what's going on in the NFT world and some of the clients that you guys have worked with.
Sure. Hi everyone. My name is Jonas Hudson, and I have a background in a combination of entertainment and mobile technology. I used to work at Warner Brothers, was very involved with the DVD launch, and as it grew into different variations of technologies, I decided I was going to step out and get into the mobile space. And one moment in time really changed my perspective. I was at a conference in GSM, I think it's called, in France years and years ago, and a guy spilled a beer on me and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, sorry, can I buy you another one?" I'm like, whatever. And he asked what I did. And I said, yeah, I'm kind of in the Hollywood space. We're doing ringtones. And he said, ringtones. He goes, there's going to be a fly-by-night business. They're going to be great. He goes, but you Hollywood people are idiots. And I then at that point didn't know what to do. He spilled a beer on me and called me an idiot in the same minute. But I said, why? And he explained that the studio system, Hollywood in general, has spent decades upon decades really messing things up when it came to knowing their customer. So if you look at the movie business, they'd sell a movie to AMC Theater. AMC Theater sold the tickets, and the customers then were AMC's customers. Then in the home entertainment business, Blockbuster became their rental partner. Blockbuster had the data. Then Walmart became the sell-through. Walmart had the data. Then streaming, Netflix, they built Netflix. They built a multi-billion-dollar company on the backs of their content, which, by the way, if you ask any kid, they'll say, what's a movie worth? And it's $9.99 a month. And so I was looking at what is this future technology they call blockchain. And I said, once Ethereum showed up and there were smart contracts involved and all that stuff, I said, oh, that's it. If we could somehow get in front of this with the entertainment space, with the IP owners, create NFTs that were validated from a top level, then we can really drive Hollywood to the next level. But in the same time, I was working in the grocery space, and we decided to layer coupons and rebates on the blockchain. And in doing so, I don't even think it was called an NFT back then, but we were making NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And so we have partnered with multiple Fortune 50 CPG companies, multiple grocery companies, multiple IP companies, and we ended up launching a series of NFTs in the coupon and rebate space. And in that space, you're looking at partnerships with T-Mobile and partnerships with Kroger and whatnot. And then we got into the NFT entertainment side. I think I wrote a blog back in the day. I said NFTs are the new ringtone. I think I'm right on it right now because I think it's exactly what's happening. So in 2018, when we put out the Deadpool 2 deal with our partners Marvel and Fox, no one knew what we were talking about. We were fortunate that we had good friends and smart people in the business that wanted to test things. Then we launched a Sony version of the Goosebumps campaign, and we did a handful of NFTs with Fortune 50 companies. And we did layered, if you will, a test platform, and then watched as Mooncats evolved to CryptoKitties, evolved to this kind of dead moment or dead calm, if you will, in 2019, 2020. And then when NBA Top Shot showed up, it spurred the madness again. But I have a lot of comments on that. We can get into that and why Kaleido has been helpful for us, what our strategy is moving forward. And one last note on that, why I call it the new ringtone. We're seeing a bubble like the ringtone business was from 2006 to 2008. People were buying 15 seconds of a song for $3 in clips of millions every hour. This moment in time with NFTs is being driven by some whales in the space, and the masses are still trying to figure out how to play. So what I love about it is, of course, it's taught everyone what NFT means, of course, with the Saturday Night Live video. The bubble's fun. People are getting excited. But really what's going to happen is as it careens back to a regular business as usual, you're going to see a nice uptick into what I believe is $1 trillion NFT business over the next decade.
Awesome. Thanks, Jonas. So for all the folks in attendance, I will reiterate, please just, ask any questions you want via in the chat, Q&A, or raise your hand. Sophia and I will, tee up some questions for Jonas, but this is really about the community and, folks, being able to have access to, someone that has some really awesome perspectives and expertise. For me, Jonas, I'll jump right into it, and we'll circle back to some more details on Deadpool and on what went on with T-Mobile and Kroger and Heineken. But my background before I came into the tech world, I was with Major League Baseball and did some stuff with Major League Soccer and U.S. Soccer, and then managed a collegiate summer baseball team. So I have a fairly large background in the sports world. So the Top Shot stuff is really fascinating to me, and just the enormous valuations of those NFTs. Obviously, the NBA is on a fantastic trajectory, doing some really awesome stuff, innovatively and, on the culture side as well. So obviously a growing market along with soccer, in my opinion. But can you just talk about sort of the captivation of these Top Shot NFTs, and do you think they're overvalued? Do you think they're undervalued? Will this continue over the next 5-6 months? Is this really just the beginning of something absolutely massive, which you guys also alluded to? Just curious to hear some more articulation on the NBA and on Top Shot and those specific NFTs from you.
Yeah, so it's funny. And I do actually, I could put up a slide of some of the NFTs we've done. Trying to figure out how to do this.
Yeah,
Just to
that would be great.
get an example. I'm going to just put it on my desktop here. Hold on. All right, can you see that?
Yes, we can. That's great.
So what you're seeing is a hodgepodge of coupon NFTs that are tied to deals that the brands have actually done over the years, right? Let me see if I can get this full screen. Show manage, whatever. So you're looking at, I'm not quite sure how to do that. You're looking at right here, Heineken did a deal with Carlos Vela, right? Adam Tickett did a deal with Deadpool. Pepsi did one with Gio Santos, and so on and so forth. And so what we came to the conclusion was that if we could work with the multiple budgets that a brand works with, so you've got your shopper marketing brand, you've got your brand fueled, kind of your national brand money, not hyper targeted in any way, shape, or form. It's like those are the deals when you get the Carlos Velas of the world, or a movie IP or whatnot. And then you got your digital budget. And I think the future of this business is going to push towards pure shopper marketing, action-based, where you do something, get something at the location that you want to shop at. Just today, Google announced a massive partnership with Albertsons. They're going to be doing very unique methods of distribution, mainly focused on the shopper, mainly focused on what they want to eat, and so on and so forth. So what we came into this was, well, it's not just coupons and rebates that we think we've changed, but it's also the ability to drive this IP. The problem we found in the early days was that let's take CryptoKitties. They were a beautifully designed, fun project, I would call it, more than anything, that just took off on a public exchange, and nobody really in the masses could actually use it, right? And then the company just completely reversed course and went to a complete private chain. So if you're looking at the NBA Top Shots as an example, and I don't want to bash NBA Top Shots too much here, because they've done a heck of a lot for the business, the industry as a whole. But from behind the scenes, you're not getting, let's say the athletes aren't really seeing the participation that they probably should. I'm a good example. I bought and sold cars. I can't get my money. It takes the last time I tried, it said we might be able to get it to you in 30 plus days. The bots took it over because it was a free exchange. And when I say free, meaning anyone could sign up and go in. It created chaos, and it broke it during All-Star basketball weekend. So I think with their new multi-billion-dollar valuation, they'll be able to fix a lot of this stuff, and I'm happy for them. But I still think that if you really look at the size of the market, it needs to come from a simpler way to onboard users. And so we built a concept that turned into reality. We call it the GFT Alliance. And the idea, with partnering with Kaleido on this, the idea is that the Alliance runs, and I don't want to get technical because if I do, I'll make a mistake, but runs their own nodes, which we'll do for them. And those nodes are showing provenance and trust. And this is a very important issue, because I remember in 2018 talking to OpenSea, which I love, the guys over there. I said, hey, when we put this Deadpool content up on there, we cannot have fraud. We cannot have IP that's, made from some kid in the basement. And that's exactly what happened, not just on OpenSea, but everywhere. Just recently, some guy sold a Wonder Woman NFT for 380 grand or $1 million or whatever the number was. And they got bashed with a cease and desist. And so did the marketplace that was carrying it. So we see, again, a way for the industry, from both the brands protecting their coupons and rebates and from the IP protecting their IP, starting with a private node where everyone is simply saying, this is where it came from. And so as it moves across the spectrum to public platforms like an OpenSea, a user can track it back and go, okay, this is a validated Disney property. This is a validated Pepsi property. I'm already seeing a lot of companies kind of taking this model, and somebody's going to do a better job than others. But at the end of the day, it's only going to work if everyone kind of works together. A quick note, like in the film business, when digital distribution hit, 50 different companies came to all the studios. Use this format. Use this format. Well, if you're making a movie in 2008 and you had to send it in 15 or 20 or 30 different formats, it's chaos. It's too expensive. Things are going to break. And so guys like Katzenberg put together a society called AIS. They said, okay, let's format. Let's create this balance. Let's create one way to deliver that's going to work. And you've probably heard of beta in the VHS issue, or you've heard of DivX in the DVD. My goal or plan right now is to get in front of every studio and say, we're in the same exact moment in time. And all these companies that are building their business on tokens, ICOs or whatever, may or may not have the best interest in mind of the IP holder. Their interest might be about, let's see how much token value we can get. And again, not going to bash that either. I mean, Ethereum's a token, but Ethereum's done an amazing job of building an ecosystem that now needs a bridge. So that A, it's not too expensive, B, it's easier to use, and C, the masses can simply go in with a click of the button. I call it the YouTube moment. The old days when we used to just move videos via email, you have to pick QuickTime or Real Play or whatever, and then YouTube showed up and you clicked a button and watched it. The YouTube moment is right this second. I think we have the answer, working with Kaleido on a few things where we know how to move, and I'm not going to give away everything, but we know how to move a user. And I'll give you an example. This Kroger program we did, $3 off $10 at Kroger, that was ran through T-Mobile Tuesdays, which is a carrier Tuesday platform that every Tuesday they ping out to 75 million customers. 12.5 million or so have the app actually on their phone. So they're messaging and they're only giving away a few offers. Well, this was an NFT. And I can actually honestly say we put more people into wallets in a 24-hour period than the entire marketplaces that are trading NFTs today. And I have the stat to show you. I can show you later, but that's a crazy thing. Now, we're in the coupon business. So obviously we're not selling Beeples necessarily. But we are looking at, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of coupons and rebates being transacted daily. So I guess I'm kind of combining the two. So just to summarize, NBA Top Shots, awesome. They're charging it with a lot of hiccups, but and they're going to have to fix a lot of IP issues with their players at some point down the road. And you might even see NBA players just doing their own deals, like Gronkowski and what's his face, Mahomes, who spun off from the NFL. So it's going to be the wild, wild west in the best of ways.
Yeah, it's a really, really exciting time for sure. Thanks for that. Was an awesome sort of synopsis of the industry and sort of what you guys have done as well. I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'll put Sophia on the spot to maybe ask one of her own. I'm interested, Jonas, as we sort of look at these and we see some of like the high value NFTs, and then we see an ephemeral coupon, how you marry, product management and user experience with, making it as easy as possible, but also exposing, the right amount of provenance and the right amount of basically giving the end user the just enough glimpse into blockchain to know that they have that unequivocal trust and they have that audit trail and they have those historical assurances, but not bogging them down with, the mundane details and crypto primitives and, hashes till their eyes bleed. And I think there is a juxtaposition between, sort of certain products right here, whether we're talking about a coupon and, versus, a very, very high value NFT. And how you guys have approached doing, the user experience and key management on that, and just the different, I guess, UX security considerations, key management considerations, the different thoughts that go through your head as you're developing these different classes and different tranches of products for your end users.
So the one thing that I can say, and again, I got to be a little careful on certain, the tech stack, if you will, but we call it load to phone number. We look at the phone number as the right unique ID number for our audience. Our audience is busy. They're going to grocery stores. They've got kids running around. They're They might be unbanked or underbanked. They don't have a lot of the luxuries, say, that a Silicon Valley tech company has, right? And so if you try to get anybody at, say, one of our grocery partners, for example, Food for Less, which is a Kroger division in California, and you tell them to download MetaMask and you're gonna, here's your private key, you're going to create chaos. I always use the Yoda example with Disney. Like if Disney just gave everyone their private keys and have a Yoda, and they all lost it, Disney's going to get bombarded with every phone call on the planet. So of course, Top Shots, when they went on with private like that, they were able to do key management. But the issue with Top Shots is it's not a fully, it's not a blockchain. I mean, you could quite frankly just do it on a ledger. You don't need a blockchain at all. They'll probably argue with me on that, but that's the way I look at it. So the way we manage it is we like to look at how a consumer experience is. And so as you look at, for example, a Gios Dos Santos Pepsi ad, you might see it in your traditional marketing ways. For example, you cannot tell a marketer, hey, let's market on OpenSea. They're going to look at you like, what's OpenSea? You can't say, let's go to these new marketplaces that don't really have an audience yet, other than the size of the crypto audience and maybe a few outliers. But you do want to go to Facebook and Twitter and texting and all the basics, right? And so if you've got a way, and let's go to texting, let's go to the unbanked. If you text a person who's got a mobile cell phone that doesn't need to enter their data or information, but just their phone number and a password, they can open up an experience that looks and feels tailored to them, suited to them, and allows them to then move their assets freely initially, right? And so like they can send and transfer and all that fun stuff. But when they want to get into the heavy lifting of asset management through sales and whatnot, it has to go through some type of public environment, or else it's just not a blockchain at that point. So our job is to guide them through this load to phone number model, bring them back and forth from private to public without confusing them. So the load to phone number concept, which we also, by the way, tie to our POS partners. So you could think of a simple user flow. You see a Facebook ad. Oh, if I buy a 12-pack of Pepsi, I'm going to get a Gio Dos Santos NFT, right? They put their phone number in on the Facebook page, or they've already built their little wallet by just a phone number. They're done. They don't have to look at anything. They don't have to download MetaMask. They just walk right into the grocery store, buy that 12-pack, put their phone number in a keypad, and boom, the NFT shows up in their phone. That is going to change the way the masses acquire NFTs, trade NFTs, sell NFTs. And as the marketplaces grow, we have to be the custodians for which marketplace is going to remove bad IP. We can't bring in some of our partners and then have fake Yodas next to a fake Deadpool next to our Deadpool or next to our Pepsi can. They have to honor the smart contracts that are involved with the recurring revenue stream, and so on and so forth. But on the coupon side, we do one thing. It's very simple. Three things. We allow the brand to remove fraud. Coupon fraud is a multi-billion-dollar problem. Secondly, we allow the shopper marketer actually stop a campaign in its tracks, and that's incredibly important. A lot of brands fear digital couponing because, right? What if it does too well? Just being off by 0.02% could blow a budget in a small marketplace for a shopper marketer. And then finally, the unbanked and the underbanked. These are key for the future, if you will, because you think unbanked, you think someone who just doesn't have money or doesn't have a bank account, but the unbanked or underbanked is also a big burgeoning class of millennials that are so sick and tired of giving up their data. So why should they, especially in this type of environment where if a brand needs to talk back to that, they can just talk to their wallet. They don't need to know who that person is.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. So we've all lost video now. I stopped mine and started it in hopes of being able to provide other people the ability to share. And so we're all operating in the dark now. So Sophia, did you have any specific question you wanted to pose out there to Jonas? Still waiting for folks in the audience.
Yeah, well, I would love to. I mean, the Tech Tuesdays are meant to be more of a fireside chats when we do these more of a business deep dive. So I'd love to hear if people attending have questions that we can help with. I mean, Jonas is someone who's been a real leader in the space, basically, has been doing this for over 3 years now with all the major brands like Sony, Fox, Heineken, Pepsi, all the supermarket chains, all the major brands, a lot of premier athletes as well. So, I guess it would be great to hear if there's something if you have questions, it's a new space for everyone that bringing this sort of expertise to the table could help you with. So if you could type the questions into the chat, and as Nick said, would read them out and make sure we cover those. I guess my question in the meantime, Jonas, to you is like, what advice would you give to someone who's pretty new in the space and they're wondering, should they invest? Should they create? Should they, build a platform? What are your thoughts if you have people who are just looking to see how they can get involved in the NFT space and what the short, medium, and long-term outlook for some of those opportunities might be?
Okay, so the land grab of IP is fast and furious. And I come from this world. I built a ringtone business. I've moved video and music in over 80 countries around the planet. Everything I've done has been in the licensing and promotional marketing space. And so I kind of laugh because it's exactly what the beginnings of 2018 were for about 10 minutes. And then when the marketplace didn't burgeon, everyone, walked away. So a lot of my conversations that I left on the table, everyone left with their head scratched going, what are you talking about? They didn't have a clue. And it's, probably me not explaining it properly. But thankfully, what's his face on Saturday Night Live sang a song about NFTs, and now everybody and their mother wants to make it. The business of acquiring content and then making NFTs to make a quick buck is good for the moment. And it's going to be bad for the long haul. And the reason why goes back to what I was saying. So you can acquire all this talent, you push it onto a marketplace, but then what? How do you talk to these people again? How do you potentially airdrop another asset to them down the road? How do you deliver a coupon to them? So we look at, from an investment perspective, we think that investing in the platform is going to be the game changer, right? Not the guy that can bring maybe a bunch of artists to the table, and definitely not the person that's dropping another token. Yes, I'm sure some of these tokens will do well, but I was thrown into the mix of the 2017 ICO token arms race. I'm sure someone's got the number out there. I would bet that 98% of those tokens, 99% are gone. And I'm looking at the future because I saw the past. It's the same thing. They're making a token to monetize their business, and then they're going to use that business to push the token up. And once that token goes up, they're going to try to sell, and then they're going to leave really what the true business is behind. So what is the business? Is it selling? Lindsay Lohan today did a nice song on, and I like Lindsay Lohan. I don't mean to laugh at Lindsay, but she's an entrepreneur. So she tried one earlier. She just launched her single today. Lindsay's perfect for this, right? She's unique. She's got a unique pop culture feel to her. But if you're Warner Brothers, you want to do it right. You want to go big. You want to monetize everything, and you want to do it with a hybrid approach of promotion, monetization, and using a third-party platform that can integrate with potentially brands and all the other partners that we work with. So that's one. And then the other thing I would look at from an investment standpoint, or at least an interest standpoint, is blockchain infrastructure companies like a Kaleido, of course, like where they're building machine grade, if you will, platforms that can handle basically what NBA Top Shots couldn't. And again, I don't mean to bash them. I'm sorry, because I love NBA Top Shots. But when they broke on All-Star Weekend, that's tough. Gosh, I wonder how much money I mean, the amount of money they lost that weekend must have been insane. Number one, but it really probably put a bad taste in their, user base, at that point in time. So, it's the platforms that are going to drive this, because smart IP is always going to rise to the top. And as long as it's managed properly by not all these middlemen that are running around trying to middleman everyone, be careful of them. But the people that can do the IP correctly, launch it correctly, and deliver on the smart contract quickly, right? Not like where you got to wait 30 days for your money. Then that's the future of what's going to happen.
Thanks, Jonas. And I'm also glad we can finally see you. So the rest of us are still in the dark, but you're the guest of honor here. We did have a couple questions that came in. I guess one was, will you be selling NFTs? And then a second part of that question is about partnerships with auction houses.
Yeah, so we've actually tested NFT sales in 18, 19. We have a ton of NFTs that were actually created amazingly 2-3 years ago that we're going to be onboarding into the public space. We purposely held some of those back just for these moments. But Joe actually, sent an email about this. He was asking, future NFT sales. We like to consider ourselves a platform company, but oftentimes white gloving helps get the business moving forward. And what I mean by that is kind of bringing a lot of our IP holders along. I've mentioned OpenSea a handful of times. The only reason why I did is because, Alex, who, created it, him and I were sitting around a bar at the early NFT conference in 2017 or 18, looking at each other going, that's cool. Let's work together and blow it up. Right. I'm really happy for them just as a friend, but there's other great marketplaces. Maker's Place is beautiful. Eternity's really an interesting one that just jumped in. And again, I might be contradicting myself because one's built on tokenization, one's built on this, but I think that, as these marketplaces grow and mature, they're going to have then a time where everything's going to be, it's simple. eBay NFT. Who are they going to buy? And who is Amazon NFT going to buy? Because that to me is an obvious no-brainer. eBay's needed this for years. They probably already built it, or they're going to buy somebody in that nature. So these smaller marketplaces, I'm not saying they go away in any way, shape, or form. There's always room for boutiques and all that. It's just the way it's presented. And as far as like the future of kind of GFT itself, we are an exchange more than anything. What we're trying to do is work with IP partners, push them through our platform where they can do other things. Like, for example, align it with a brand, drop a grocery NFT, and so on and so forth. But yes, we will drop some NFTs over the next few months. A lot of it will be supporting our IP partners. A lot of it will teaching them, how we think it's going to be the right way to do it. And more importantly, how do we go back to their wallets so that we can talk to their customers, right? They can talk to their customers. That's the key.
Awesome. Thanks, Jonas, and thanks Joe for those questions that you put in. I'll ask one as folks are formulating their other responses. And this will be an unfair one, Jonas. It's like asking who's your favorite child. But you've worked with, just looking at these slides right here, we're talking about movie studios, we're talking about LAFC, we're talking about enormous, top class boxing, UFC. Do you have a particular sort of client or engagement? Maybe you have a funny story, or was one the most enjoyable, or the most indelible or most memorable across this wide myriad array of different industries and different clients?
Yeah, I'm not going to say names, but a major studio we're working with had their marketing team was, because I've been in the business with them a lot, I've got a nice shortcut to a lot of these people, which is great. They're basically good friends of mine. But I'll never forget when the person said, you're gonna have to talk to our lawyer about the contract. Because I don't think at the time, and this is early 18, there was an actual contract written. And the lawyer instantly goes, I'm in. These are NFTs. They're non-fungible. He started spitting out everything, right? And I'm like, oh, this is heaven. So we put together a contract that's probably a little kludgy today, but that was something, that was an amazing thing. And then another thing was the Deadpool assets. When we pushed them out to the marketplace, there's probably, well, a lot. I'm not allowed to say how many. There is a lot out there in the marketplace right now. But back in 18, no one knew what to do with it, right? And when we allowed them to push it to open to an open public chain to sell, only a handful made it. Something like 57 out of a lot. And those started selling, right? All of a sudden it went from $19 to $1,500, $3,000. So that actually woke me up because I'm getting texts in the middle of the night from or not texts or emails like, hey, you just sold this for an ETH or something like that. So where the future of this is great is now I love it because I don't have to talk. I don't have to explain NFT anymore.
Yeah.
In fact, everyone's coming to me, and that's the comedy. Like I'm so overwhelmed with work right now because the model we have is a little bit different than most, kind of hybriding, the kind of the grocery space with NFTs and then picking marketplaces. So hopefully if it's an Eternity or a Maker's Place or an OpenSea or I don't want to leave anyone out because I think they're all cool. This is going to be a fun ride. And it's up to us from a creative standpoint, and this is where I see agencies coming in to really start to bundle and package these and then push them out. So, but yeah, I think the first story was our lawyer at a major studio just knowing what I was talking about the first time was the greatest thing in the world, and now everyone kind of knows. So my life's a little bit easier.
Whatever happened to that lawyer, Jonas?
Yeah, we're going to be onboarding a lot of his stuff publicly. So should be interesting. We might get in trouble. We'll see. Although I have a contract that says we won't. But I am looking forward to when the dust settles on this NFT madness to really get him involved on some longer term plays. I don't even know if he's still there, but the Sony team, they're always really advanced and stuff like this. And so they're going to be fun to work with in the future for a lot of levels.
Yeah. Well, if someone was that early in NFTs, you'd think he might have started his own like digital assets.
Maybe he started NBA Top Shots. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I know Joe's asked a question about how does GFTX work with Kaleido, and I think that Nick probably could roll into the second part of the webinar where he shows a little bit and talks to that. But I did want to just make sure that there were no more sort of market, business, general NFT questions before we went more into, how does it all sort of work and how does Kaleido help enable part of the presentation. So I guess this is maybe another call for any questions for Jonas before Nick takes the mic for a little bit. Okay, all right, well, I guess Nick, oh wait, there's one more just dropped in. Is GFTX looking to expand a lot more as a public company?
It's a good question.
And then also music and NFTs is another area of interest.
Yeah, on the financing side, I have to be quiet because we're working on a few things. Music and NFTs. I mean, this was the first thing that we thought of from. I remember 2017 was like, yeah, let's make. The way I looked at it, Bob Dylan, Grateful Dead, Lil Nas, somebody, every major IP artist. There's got to be 10 to 100 people that will do anything for their content. So if Taylor Swift wants to make 100 personal tracks for these people, there will be a big payday, and that will be forever. I 100% believe that collecting is going to never go back. It's never going to be the old school. That's why I think eBay, of course, is going to jump in. And so with music, you look at like Irving Azof's company, Ticketmaster. Tickets will be obviously NFTs or coupons basically. And those tickets, I mean, these are ideas that have come left and right. Let me actually give you one. I'm working with a restaurant chain that will potentially give you NFTs every appetizer you order, as an example, in the music space. That to me is cool, right? That's fun. That's a way to drive NFT engagement without having to like go on to MetaMask and open an account and do all this stuff. So that's really where I see the music space going, really utilizing traditional marketing efforts that they're great at, Twitter, Facebook, everything, and then pushing out, and then let the Katy Perrys and let the creatives, the Will I Ams, do their thing at that point. So
Awesome. So folks, I think Joe, I don't know that Jonas is going to disclose internal financial details, so I'll go ahead and preemptively not answer that question on his behalf. I would like to encourage everyone to keep just asking questions using the Q&A or using the chat, and I'll in tandem, we can pause as questions come in, but I'll just show you guys a quick glimpse of Kaleido and sort of some of the easy buttons and powerful features that we've built directly into Kaleido. Specifically, what we have is we have a whole class of digital asset functionality, as I mentioned at the beginning, making it really easy to for newcomers, right? The same experience as going to one of these auction houses or going to one of these marketplaces, and not having that friction to go through 25 steps to set up a wallet and acquire this asset. We see it the same way in Kaleido, right? UX is incredibly important, and we've done a lot of things where you don't even have to write code. We've baked the templates directly into Kaleido. So just giving you a flyby tour here, I have a blockchain environment, a private permissioned firewalled Kaleido environment running Geth and proof of authority. That's my node client, that's my algorithm. And I have 2 memberships, each owns a node. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create some digital assets. We'll create an ERC20 for this wallet right here, owned by organization ABC, and then we'll create a non-fungible asset that's going to be owned by XYZ. And we'll look at how we can talk to those assets, how we can transfer them, how we can mint new coins, how we can mint new NFTs or burn NFTs. And then what we'll ultimately look at, we'll look at swaps. This is a really cool, this is as low in the tech stack as we're going to go today, and we won't spend too much time on it. But the main takeaway here of what I'll show is that we're not using an intermediary. We're not using a third party. We're using a piece of software. We're using a piece of solidity that has all of the checks and balances inside of it, so that each counterpart, inside of a trade can have these unequivocal assurances that I can put my asset in, I can put my asset in. If we each like the swap that's been proposed, then we can have that, atomic nature of it. I'm going to get your asset, you're going to get my asset. No way it's going to be a double spend. Really, really straightforward, but really, really powerful as well. So we'll take a look at that. I'm going to just start by going ahead and creating a very basic ERC20 token smart contract. So Kaleido makes it very easy to say, hey, what wallet do I want to sign with? What organization is that account bound to? So I'll go ahead and select ABC, click create token. And now we see here this wide library, this wide variety of ways that we let you teach Kaleido about your token smart contract. You don't have to use our templates. You can upload local code from your computer. You can zip up an Open Zeppelin file with all your dependencies. You can compile it in Remix and give us the ABI and the bytecode, or you can link to your public or private GitHub repository. We're agnostic, right? All you do is just teach us about that business logic, and we're going to expose a bunch of what I like to call easy buttons, a bunch of REST APIs for you to talk to. So I'll go ahead and grab this ERC20 mintable burnable, and I'll click next. And this will take 30 to 40 seconds for us to generate this template code. We can see exactly where it's coming from right here. So you don't even necessarily have to use this feature in Kaleido. You can use directly our REST API gateway feature and go ahead and create a contract project and just say, hey, Kaleido, I want you to go into this public GitHub repository, and I want you to compile this ERC20 mintable burnable with supply and give me a bunch of REST APIs that I can talk to. We're going to do that for free behind the scenes here, basically using our token utilities. But there's multiple approaches. And then you'll see the different classes of APIs that we expose here as well. We have what we call service APIs, where you can speak directly to this token service in Kaleido. or you can use our REST APIs, which we've covered ad nauseum in the past. So I'm not going to dig into those too deeply, but we give you many, many ways to speak to this smart contract. And you can even use a classic Web3 library if that's what you prefer. Use the easy buttons to instantiate it on Kaleido, then use your Web3 Python or Web3 JavaScript to actually send in your transactions. So we could call this like, NBA season ticket loyalty points or something, right? Give it a symbol of loyal. We'll give it a total supply, maybe 1,000. We'll give it 1 decimal. So this comes out to 10,000. And we can instantiate this on the blockchain, and it's going to be owned by this organization and this wallet. And as soon as this makes its way into a block in about 5 seconds on the chain, we can go ahead and look at that wallet, and we'll be able to see the balance. But what we can also do is we can see those APIs that I was just talking about. So we can see the rich class of APIs where we want to, approve an address to spend these tokens. We want to add a new minter. We want to burn tokens, for example. Basically, all of the 40, 50 APIs you get in those rich Open Zeppelin libraries. So there's our first token smart contract that we deployed. I can go to node number 1. This is the guy that owned it. We can click on his wallet right here, and we can redirect into the wallet. And we should see, the basic balance that we just created right there, 1,000 or 10,000 with 1 decimal. Another thing we do in Kaleido, and this is getting a little bit down into the Ethereum weeds, so I won't spend much time on it. But we give you what we call an ether pool. So when you're operating within a permissioned, authenticated sort of firewalled orchestration, you don't need gas fees for Ethereum. You can just set that gas price parameter to 0. But there are a ton of different circumstances where you may want to, charge for transactions. This could be, for token transactions, for example. This could be for just standard key value pair transactions. So what we do is we bootstrap every Genesis block in your environment, in your Kaleido blockchain, with 1 billion ether, right? This is fictitious ether. It's worth whatever you want it to be worth. But we also support, configurations where you can do a node configuration and you can say, hey, gas price is, 1, 2, 3, 4, however many way or however many ether you want to enumerate. So again, same flow right here, and you'll see the same flow with transfers or for mints or for burns. But we easily expose all of the wallets that Kaleido knows about, or we support using some sort of external wallet, right? Maybe you want to start your private Kaleido blockchain and you want to drain that ether pool and hold it all in a wallet that you hold the private key to, externally managed. All of that's supported as well. So this is literally the exact same type of flow as me instantiating that smart contract and giving myself 10,000 loyalty points. What we'll see now is if I go back to my node address in the wallet, we'll see that I also have 1,000 ether to use as well. So just an example of another utility that we bake directly into the platform. I think this was the right account. Yeah, 1,000 right there. So, and then, moving on, everything in Kaleido, we're going to expose, all of the, historical transactions and all of the metrics that you want. So, we're looking at a specific wallet right here, and we can see the associated transactions that have occurred. Okay, so I'm going to speed up because I do want to show swaps very briefly at the very least. So we'll go back to our environment dashboard. We'll go to our digital assets, go to tokens, and we'll hop into this experience right here. So we see that all of the fun actions, transfer, mint, and burn are grayed out because Kaleido doesn't know who we're acting on behalf of, right? So we need to tell Kaleido, hey, these are the wallets, these are the private keys that I have access to, and these are the actions that I want to take. So I am the root administrator for both of these memberships, so I have access to them. But what you'll notice, what folks like Jonas and other large consortia and business networks have done is they've decentralized their Kaleido experience. They've brought on external participants, multi-party systems right here. So needless to say, hopefully it's needless to say, you won't have access to any counterparty's private keys. Those are autonomously and unilaterally controlled by the owning organization. This was solely for an example of how you could have multiple memberships or multiple organizations. So I'll select ABC. This is the guy that has 10,000, and we can choose to transfer it. We can transfer some to our other friend. We can maybe give 1,000 to the XYZ address right here. So we'll go ahead and pick this guy, and we can just go ahead and call that transfer action. This action as well, again, very easy to do through our user interface and our dashboards. But again, we also expose really powerful, really simple RESTful APIs for you to use. So if we go into this, this is what we call a gateway API. This is essentially a definition of all of the methods available in that ERC20 mintable, burnable smart contract. And we open this up, we'll be able to look at it through the lens of node number 1, or we'll be able to look at it through the lens of node number 2, who just received 1,000 tokens. So we can, and again, you would do this with, a Node.js program, or, you could use Postman or some sort of REST client. But we can go ahead and just do like a query of our balance, right? We can do a get on the balance of this address right here. So we can expand this right here, click try it out to turn our Swagger into an interactive experience. It's saying, hey, we need the argument for the address that you're trying to query. Go ahead and give that to us. This should return immediately because it's just a GET call to the blockchain. And now we've used very, very simple REST APIs that any entry-level web developer can program against. Very, very easy. All right, speeding up, what I'll try to do is I'll try to go ahead and create one more digital asset, and we'll create a non-fungible token, and we'll let it be owned by organization XYZ. So go ahead and click create token. I'll use the factory again. We'll go with the 721 mintable burnable, and we'll imagine this is like a, Euro 2021 or UEFA, soccer digital collectible. Soccer is close to my heart, so I always try to go with baseball or golf or soccer. But as Jonas was showing you, these NFTs are applicable to artwork, they're applicable to music, to movies, to pretty much every vertical that's out there in the space. It's assets that have value to the owning entity, to the end user. So we're going to go ahead and create this guy. And then ultimately what we'll do here is we'll go ahead and look at some of our token explorers, and then we'll dig a bit deeper into the semantics and the functionality of what is an atomic swap. How does that really work? And where should you go to learn more about atomic swaps? And maybe this will get your brain going about how we can start, moving assets from a private chain to a public chain, or, maybe to some sort of private chain layer 2, and then ultimately to a public chain. Lots of different possibilities for, what can ultimately manifest here. So maybe we'll just say UEFA collectibles, and I'll give it a UEFA symbol, UEFA. And then we'll just deploy this. And this won't be interesting. This is kind of just a namespace smart contract. What we need to do is we need to actually mint, right, those unique non-fungibles inside of it. So we can go ahead and hop out of there. We can go back to our dashboard and back to our digital assets tab. And we can go into the UEFA collectibles. We'll select the owner, which was XYZ, remember. And now we can go ahead and mint a new token. We see that I can't burn anything because I don't actually own anything yet. But we can just go ahead and make a very vanilla, NFT that doesn't actually have anything behind it. But we'll give it a URI that has, metadata endpoint, right? This is where we would show the, signed object, or this is where we'd show the unique image or the highlight, or the pair of, I think someone bought a pair of shoes the other day as an NFT that they can't even wear. So, wherever you want to store that metadata, wherever you want to have that beautiful image, or, proof of the asset that the person is purchasing, this is sort of where you would configure that. So we can go ahead and mint this, and now both of our parties inside of the network each have an asset. Organization ABC has a bunch of tokens, and organization XYZ now has a non-fungible UEFA digital collectible right here. And so what we can do is we can swap these. We can say, hey, I have an out-of-band agreement where I know that this first tranche of the 1,000 UEFA collectibles, I can redeem those for this denomination of fungible tokens within this ecosystem. It could be a stable coin. It could be loyalty points like I created, reward points, what have you. Any denomination of fungible tokens, or think of it like trading cards, right? Maybe you have Carlos Vela, and I have Wayne Rooney from DC United, right? And he's retired, he's coaching Watford or whatever team he's coaching over in the championship in England, and I want your card and you want my card. So it doesn't have to be a ERC20 for a 721 swap. You can swap fungible to fungible, non-fungible to non-fungible, or any combination of the above. And this is an experience that we'll be bringing into Kaleido, into sort of our beautiful V2 dashboard right here. It didn't make it in the first crank of the wheel. You can definitely experiment with this sort of in our old Kaleido experience. And it's really fun, actually. It's a fantastic sort of guided tour over, you know, how everything works. And I realize we're out of time, so I'm not going to get to show it. But if you go ahead and look in the docs right here, there's perfect screenshots of every single part of the flow. And what you'll notice basically is, you know, the initiator of a trade is going to create a secret, or what we call a pre-image, basically the entropy that forms the hash. And that's what's going to lock the contract. The contract gets locked with that hash, and it can only get unlocked with the secret. So you're basically going to have an owner of the secret right here as the initiator. They're going to lock in their assets. I'll give you an example. Maybe I put in 100 of those loyalty points, and I propose a swap with the owner of the Wayne Rooney digital collectible. And he's going to go ahead and put his in, and a timer is going to start, basically. The whole contract itself has a timer, and then as soon as both assets get in, that timer gets truncated in half. And this is so that each counterpart of the trade, each party, has an equitable amount of time. This is so that, you know, if I'm trading with Jonas, he can't wait till that clock's at, you know, 001, and then, you know, claim my asset and then, you know, call a refund on his asset, right? Basically the classic double spend. So all those wonderful checks and balances are inside of this experience. And you'll see those shortly here in Kaleido V2 as we bring this on. Additionally, you'll see some cool stuff around zero knowledge proofs, but you know, as we promised not to get technical, we definitely are not going to broach that subject today about Zether smart contracts and Sigma bullets and all of those true low-level crypto primitives. But that's sort of the takeaway of how, you know, Kaleido and some of these programmatic utilities can make it very secure and very easy and very seamless to, you know, exchange assets, whatever class of the asset it is, whether it's fungible, whether it's non-fungible, or whether they're both the same. So that's a quick guided tour through Kaleido. I don't think I showed the Token Explorer, but that's available right here, very similar to sort of our classic Block Explorer. So we can see our two tokens, they're, you know, compartmentalized, and then we can see the different transactions and the transfers as well. So as we're at the top of the hour, I'll pause there. I'll do an immediate huge thank you to Jonas for joining us today, and to Sophia as well for all the great questions and moderating. And we thank everyone else for showing up. I'm going to put some contact information inside of the chat if folks want to get in touch with us. Jonas, feel free to do the same.
Okay, sounds good.
If you want folks to reach out directly to GFTX. So first one that I'm posting right there is just if you have commercial questions, and then second one, if you're using our product and, you know, you have technical questions, you can use this URL. Super.
And
so
there are other Tech Tuesdays, Nick, where you go deeper into the zero knowledge proofs, the ZKPs, and other aspects that sort of underpin the technology here. So certainly they're back in the Tech Tuesday archives of the video library, if anyone wants to check those out.
Yeah, without a doubt. I didn't purposely skip those pieces. We've covered those much more in depth in the past, including swaps, including ZKPs, including, you know, some cooler things you can do with tokens, like using cloud HSMs to actually sign those transactions. So yeah, YouTube, Kaleido Blockchain, and you'll find a wonderful large library of curated resources. And we have some really awesome Tech Tuesdays coming down the pike as well. So please stay tuned for more details on those. And again, just a huge thank you to Jonas for joining us today and for getting up early. He is on the West Coast, folks, so he did a solid for us. So big thanks to Jonas.
Thank you, everyone.
And yeah, this will be recorded. We'll send it out, and please stay tuned for more details on upcoming Tech Tuesdays. So thanks again, and hope everyone has a safe, healthy, and lovely Tuesday.